Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my channel, Learn Math with Sayyid Ali. So now we are staying on the topic exponential function, how to draw the exponential function, right? So there is another form of question sometimes asked, given a table value or the data. So question is like, consider for the following data, consider for the following data, and data is value of x and y. So value of x and y are given here, and then the question is saying for value of x, y is 20. For value of x is equals to 2, y is 100. For value of x is equals to 3, we have 500. For 4, we have 2500. For value of 5, we have 12,500. So this way it's going on, right? And the question is asking, part A, determine whether the function is linear, quadratic, or exponential. Determine the function is linear, quadratic, or exponential. So first of all, we have to determine this, right? Second, determine the ratio. Determine the ratio. And third is C part, the function in the form of, write the function. Write the function as y is equals to c times a to the power x. So we have to write this as this form. So now we have what we have to do. We have to see the table, and when the table, we see the table, 1 is 20, 2 is 100. So we can determine the ratio first, right? Or we can determine the what is it, a quadratic, linear, or exponential. So we can see the y value. Y value are increasing by a multiplier. If y value is increasing by a multiplier, the function is exponential. So we write answer, if y value is increasing by a multiplier, the function is exponential. And we can see here the multiplier, right? This is my first part, A, and my second part is what I have to say, that what is the multiplier? What is the ratio? If we see that 20 times 5 is 100, 100 times 5 is 500, 500 times 5 is 2500, times 5 is 12,500. So it's times by 5, right? So what is my ratio? Ratio is always second term divided by the first term, or vice versa, like third term, second term, third term divided by the second term, or fourth term divided by the third term, right? Like this. If we divide like this, we have the same ratio, and ratio is like the division, right? So my ratio is second term divided by the first term, 100 divided by 20, which is equals to 5. So this ratio is 5, and this ratio is also indicated as A. So my A is 5. This ratio is A. Now my C part. C part is saying that write the function in terms of y is equals C times A to the power x. Now I know my A. A is 5, right? But I don't know C. So that means from this function, from this table of data, we can find out C, right? How? We can say that 20 is equals to, this 20 is equals to, right, C times A to the power 1, right? C times, what is my A? A is 5, right? A to the power 1. This is my first term, right? So I can calculate C from here. So this equation implies or gives me that C is equals to 20 divided by 5, which is equals to 4. So I can find out my C. C is 4. So once I know my C, I can write down my equation in that format which is asked by the question, y is equals to C times A to the power x, right? So my equation will be y is equals to C times, that is 4 times A is 5 to the power x. This is my exponential function which is being asked, or which is related, or which is governed by this table. And this is basic function. Here if we can see, my y is equals to this. This part is my function, right? Exponential function. C times A to the power x, right? So sometimes question is asked like this. A student must be prepared for these questions. If the data is given, determine the function is linear, quadratic, or exponential. Determine the ratio. Determine what is the function in this format. So we have answered all of the 3 part of this question. And sometimes another type of the question is coming up, like they give the graph and we have to determine the value of A, D, and C. Once we have the value of A, D, and C, we can write the exponential equation or exponential function. So if we have the graph, we will do another exercise. If we have the graph, we will find out the value of A, D, and C, and then we can write the exponential function in the form of y is equals C to the times A to the power x, like the same. Y is equals C times A to the power x. So the 2 ways, right? We can draw this graph too, but we will do the reverse of it, that if the graph is given, can we find out the exponential function? So we will learn more about the exponential function and the behavior of the exponential function. But for now, we have to summarize it. What the basic or the parent function, parent exponential function, is covered by y is equals to A to the power x, right? And then the transform function is y is equals to C times A to the power k times x plus p plus d. And now my basic variables, which was A to the power x only, as multiple variables, right? Variable C, variable k, variable p, and variable d. And each alphabet or each variable is telling us about something which is related to the transformation or related to the graph, right? So what A is telling us? A is telling us the growth or the decay. The graph is increasing or decreasing, or graph is stabilized, right? But with the help of the A value, there is another second condition. So we have to see both conditions to match. Otherwise, the second condition will be dominating to the first condition, as we see in the last video, that A was positive, but C and K was negative. And we see from the table of values that the function was decreasing. So we have to see both things. If value of the C and K is same and A is greater, then it's perfectly growing or increasing exponential function. But if A is greater but C and K are opposite, then we see that the function is decaying or decreasing. When A is equals to 1, the graph or the exponential function is always stabilizing. Stabilizing is parallel to x-axis, right? Stabilized. There is no increase or decrease, right? So next thing which we have to see is d value. This d value is very important. Y is equals to d is your asymptote or limit your range. So y is equals to d is important, right? Whenever d is there, it limits your range and it gives you your asymptote, right? If y is greater than d, when c is positive, so we have to see c. If c is positive, we do the range like this, y is greater than d. If c is negative, we do the range by this, y is less than d. Rest of the three alphabets are value of k and sign of k and value of p. This determines the horizontal transformation. Horizontal transformation is determined by, so, value of k and sign of k. If sign of k is positive, nothing to worry. If sign of k is negative, we have to say it's negative. It means towards the left, right? Towards the left. And then if value of k exists, then we say that there is reflection and reflection and stretch. So there is stretch of by the value of k. We take the value of k and then reciprocal it, right? So stretch is always 1 over k. So we know we have to keep in mind that stretch is by the value of k, not by the value of k, but we have to reciprocal it. So stretch, horizontal stretch is reciprocal of the value of k. And the p value is horizontal transverse on the x-axis is always to the left or to the right. So if the value of p is positive, right? And if it's negative, it's to the left. Then vertical transformation are dependent on the value of c, sign of c, and sign and value of d. So another variable is d. Sign and value of d is vertical transformation, like it's up or down. If d is like -5, it's down by that amount. If d is plus, is that amount plus, right? Upward or downward. And value of c is giving you stretch by that value. Stretch, S for stretch, right? And reflection is sign of c. If sign of c is negative, we say there is a reflection. So if there is a negative value, we say that there is reflection. If there is a positive value, nothing to worry about, there is no reflection. Reflection means to the negative part of the coordinates, right? So this is the nutshell of the exponential function and how to draw the exponential function, keeping in mind all these values and these limiting factors. And the second kind of the question is like we are given the data and then you have to determine the type of the function, then determine the ratio, then you have to write the function in terms of y is equals to c times a to the power x. Hope you like the video. If you like it, press the bell icon button, subscribe my channel, thumbs up, share it with your friends. It's grade 11 stuff and very important. Exponential function, how to draw the exponential function. Thank you for watching.